Good evening. Can you hear me okay? Okay. I'm delighted to speak with you tonight. I am Cathy Hart. I'm an associate of the Sisters of St. Joseph. And I just have to be honest and say, when they invited me to speak tonight, Mary downplayed it. She said, it'd just be a few minutes, she said, a brief update. So I was gonna wing it. I was gonna write some notes in the palm of my hand and just kind of wing it. And then I realized, hey, these folks bought tickets. They're gonna want something. They paid money. You better be good. You better have a joke or something. So at first I didn't have a joke, but I found one. Okay, the young student who's doing a study on senior marriages. And she visited with a couple who had been married for 70 years. And they invited her to dinner. She came over and heard their story. And she noticed that they were just addressing each other so tenderly and lovingly, and yes, dear, and okay, babe, and what can I get for you, darling, and sweetheart, do you want any more, that kind of thing. And so when the husband left the room, she asked the wife, she said, I have to tell you, I am so impressed that you all are just still feeling so much affection for one another with all of the pet names and that. It's just so sweet. And the lady said to her, sweetheart, I have to be honest. I forgot his name 5 years ago. So on top of the joke, I do have some good news about our very urgent and important mission of dismantling racism. Since adopting this as our lens for mission back in 2019, our community of St. Joseph, Sisters and Associates, has mindfully sought to understand the ways in which we as individuals and as a community have contributed to, participated in, and even benefited from the racism that is part of our everyday lives. Of course, in 2020, COVID intervened, so we were forced to find ways outside of our usual gatherings, our comfort zone really, to live out that mission. Our mission committee has offered information on the nature of racism through weekly articles, videos, book reviews, Zoom presentations, the ubiquitous Zoom presentations, and learning more about various expressions of African American and Native American culture. Our first endeavor was to understand our own history as communities of American Catholic sisters. We invited Dr. Shannon D. Williams, author of the recently published Subversive Habits, Black Catholic Nuns in the Long African American Freedom Struggle. She met with us in 2019 and challenged us, the CSJAs and Associates, to come to terms with our participation in racism. It was quite eye-opening. It really was. For our assembly last fall, we presented a video broadcast of Dr. Susan Abraham, a renowned professor of theology and cultural studies. Dr. Abraham introduced us to the realities of institutional or systemic racism and encouraged us to do more to abolish this unholy manner of relating to our dear neighbor. A resounding 92% of our participants in that particular session said that yes, there is more we can and should do to eliminate systemic racism. Next month, as part of our province chapter, we will welcome Dr. Sean Copeland, who will challenge us to do exactly that. Imagine transformation. Imagine a world where we meet cynicism with hope, where we confront doubts and fears of the unknown by truly seeing one another and loving one another with the love of Christ. Last year, in collaboration with the Racial and Justice and Cultural Justice Committee, we introduced this session and took part in the 8-week-long series, Becoming Human, presented by the University of St. Thomas in Minnesota. For many of us, that exercise was our first time in coming face to face with the unconscious bias that taints our thinking and our relationships because it is so systemic that we simply cannot escape it. And this, dear friends, dear paying friends, this is where I wing it, okay? This is where I wing it because this is where I conclude the update, and I ask you to join us on this journey. I'm asking you in whatever system you find yourself, whether it be the educational system, the healthcare system, legal system, financial, corporate, housing, social services, whatever system you find yourself in, please be mindful of the disparities that are entrenched there and call yourself to a more loving way of being. Call yourself to be the presence of Jesus with every interaction and relationship. And together, we might transform our part of the world into something that has not yet been seen, something that more clearly resembles the reign of God, where all are one. Thank you for your time, for your prayers, and for your support.